everyone, welcome to our virtual cuppa. I love my virtual cuppas, and I've got Dottie with me today because she's obviously wanting to be part of the virtual cuppa with an amazing lady, another amazing lady, and she's called Marianna Beckwith, and she is a life coach. And so I'm going to ask Marianna. Hello, Marianna. Welcome to our virtual.
Thank you very much.
I want you to tell everyone what you do.
Okay, so people often say, oh, life coach, I think I need one of those, and then they're not really quite sure what they need. Generally, I find that people come to me because there's been a change in their life somewhere, and they kind of know what to do with it. But they're a little afraid to start, a little afraid of the decisions they might have to make, and they want to talk to somebody who doesn't have an agenda with them. So not a mum, not a sister, not a colleague, not a best friend, even though those people are really, really useful in your lives.
Yeah.
But every so often you actually need to speak to somebody who's going to ask you the kind of questions that maybe those people wouldn't ask, because they think, oh no, well, I don't want to ask that because that might upset them, or I don't want to push them, or they'll think I'm nagging, or whatever. I don't have any agenda with my clients, and I'm quite straightforward with them. But sometimes you do need that. You need that person who's just going to say, oi, come on, I'm hearing this, you're doing that, there's a mismatch here. What do you really want to do? What are we going to do about sorting this out? So it could be anything. Generally, I find when people come to me with an issue, we quite often find, and this is a really exciting bit, we quite often find that actually it's not that issue that's causing a problem. It's something around the edge, you know. So somebody that comes in and says, oh, I had a client once, she said, oh, I need to see you because I find my job underwhelming and I think I need to change career. And actually, when we got down to the nitty-gritty of it, her job was perfect for her, but she lacked the kind of fizz and bubble in her life that she wanted, but didn't want from her job. So we found it elsewhere, and she got her fizz and bubble back and stayed in her job, and all was good. So
it is amazing, I think, Marianna, because that's such a good point. You know, we often think it's one thing that we need, but actually if we peel back some layers, we find it's actually something else. You know, I've had things in the past where I felt a bit fed up. I've gone to the hairdresser and I've said, right, I want to go blonde, you know, and actually my hairdresser's looked at me. She knows damn well I don't need to go blonde. She knows I'm probably actually feeling bad about something else.
She's a very wise woman, that hairdresser, isn't she?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, and we do need somebody neutral, don't we? I think sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, we do. We do. And a hairdresser, depending, I mean, I think the hairdresser we know and love is extremely well qualified to do that kind of stuff. But yes, you do need somebody who's a little bit neutral, a little bit, well, very objective, and is prepared to ask the odd tricky question, because sometimes we don't actually want to go there ourselves, and we avoid it and we push it to one side, and actually we don't need that. We need someone to gently kind of coax us along, really.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really interested in what you used to do in earlier days before you were a life coach. So tell us a bit about what happened and how you got to be a coach.
Okay. So I did a variety of jobs drifting around. My training, if you like, or my first degree is in English. So I did stuff like I sold classified advertising. I worked in an estate agent. I worked for a local government authority, heaven forbid, in their education department. So there was always that kind of educational slant to what I was looking at, and plus the fact that both my parents were teachers, and so I decided that I was never ever going to be a teacher. So in 2001 I became a teacher.
I love that so much.
and I've really enjoyed that journey, and I still teach just a little bit because it's something I enjoy doing. So I've taught in all kinds of places. I've always taught adults, apart from now my clientele is somewhat younger. They're 16 to 19. bless them.
Okay, tough audience, tough audience.
Very tough audience, yes, probably one of the tougher ones I've done.
Yeah.
But I have taught, community education is what my training is, really. So these are adults who have English as a first language, but didn't, for some reason, school didn't work for them. Might have been an undiagnosed learning difficulty or something like that. And so they get to the age of 30, 40, maybe, with kids who are coming home saying, Mum, help me with this, Dad, help me with this. And they're thinking, oh my word, I can't do this. And then they sort of come to a community education class. So they're held in all kinds of places, community centres, schools in the evening, all sorts of places. And we are kind of the Cinderellas of the adult learning world, or we used to be back in those days. I've taught in cupboards and God knows where, really. And then I went and decided my life needed a bit more excitement in it, whilst carrying on doing what I did. And so I went and taught in a prison for 8 years. That was an interesting experience.
Yeah, I remember this because you and I have had we've had a face-to-face cup of tea, which has been great. And I do remember you mentioning that, because I think you could write a book, actually, Marianna, because you've got some amazing stories, haven't you, on your journey?
Yeah, I'm not sure if all of them are printable, but yeah, I could give that a go. Yeah, it certainly was a conversation stopper while I was there. You know, sort of, while I work in a prison, what? But yes, honed some skills, that's for sure. I think that's where maybe I sort of developed a bit of I wouldn't say I'm steely, I'm really not, but a slightly, I think, not taking things at face value, which is what I do. So if somebody says to me, oh, I'm like this, or I'm like this, or this is bothering me, or I always do this, I don't buy into it all the time.
No, that's right. And this is that cover again, isn't it? This is like the outer edge that we kind of dig deep. See, I do the same thing, but more on that kind of sales side of things. But I'm also dealing with a lot of mindset stuff in the beginning when I work with people, because they've got fear, around that whole sales piece. And when we start to peel it back, we can work out what the fear really is and where it comes from. So I bet it's very similar to the sort of work you do, isn't it?
Do you know what? I was just going to say that, really, what you and I do, there is certainly an overlap, because people come either procrastinating about something that they know they need to do and are too frightened to do, or they've managed to wrap it up in cotton wool or put it in a drawer so effectively that they've almost forgotten it's there, what they come with is not necessarily what they need to solve. Sometimes it is, but not always.
Sure. So Marianna, how do you work with people? What's the format of actually working with you?
Well, I work in two different ways, actually. I work one-to-one with clients. So a one-to-one client would typically either get in touch with me via a chance meeting or a networking meeting. Quite often I've got people, clients, through that, where they've actually met me, which actually is as you know, it's so important with a coach to actually meet them face to face, or talk to them face to face anyway, because you don't know if you're going to get on with this person, if you're going to be able to work with this person. And actually, from a coaching point of view, it works the other way around as well, because some people are, we're not a fit. And I'd be the first to hold up my hands and say, you know what, I would really love to help you, but I think I know somebody who can help you even more than I might be able to. And I think that's part of the sort of let the ego go thing that you need as a coach. Sometimes they'll come with something that is just not in your field. I don't pretend to be a counsellor or somebody who's an expert in mental health issues, although I do have experience in that field, but it's not my area of expertise. So if somebody came to me with very serious mental health issues, I would refer them to somebody else who was more expert at that.
Which is great, because that means that there's a whole load of integrity going on when I'm talking to you and working with you. And I love that. I love that about you. And it, you know, the thing is, we can't help people necessarily, as you've just said, with certain things the way perhaps someone else could. So it just makes complete sense, doesn't it, to have that network that you
Yes,
can
why I
refer
need to know people like you, Jules, as well.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So what's the other way you work? What, because you
Well,
work
okay, so a one-to-one, I would have a consultation with a client. That's always, you know, complementary. Stands to reason you have a meeting and you work out whether you can work together. The other thing I do is a workshop. So the workshop way works in a variety of ways. I call it Mojo Maintenance, and I run them monthly. I have a little core of ladies who come along to that, but I'm just about to branch out and offer another day during the week. So at the moment I run it on a Saturday, and while that suits a lot of people really well, it doesn't suit everybody. So I'm going to be doing a Wednesday one. I've got a taster coming up in March, and I shall be proclaiming that via Facebook and various other outlets, you know, shortly. But I can also run a Mojo Maintenance session from your own home, so almost like a little mobile Mojo Maintenance, if you like. You know, I do my stuff very low tech, so have collapsible whiteboard will travel. That's me. So I can come, if you have a group of friends who actually want to turn over one kind of knotty problem that maybe you've all got or elements of, I'll come and I'll run a session in your home. So I can do it that way as well. And sometimes that's quite a good way of doing it.
Yeah, it is, because as well it's that safe environment, isn't it? You know, we all feel quite comfortable, don't we, at home? And I'd say to my friends, oh, bring your slippers so you feel even more comfy. But you know what? Tell us about then where you are, because tell us where you're based, and then sort of how far out would you travel to do something like that?
Okay, well, I'm based just outside Milton Keynes, in a little village sort of between Milton Keynes and Buckingham. I'm very close to Milton Keynes, so Milton Keynes and surrounding area, Buckingham and surrounding area. I'd probably do about a 15 mile sort of radius of where I am, if I was travelling, or people can come to me. It's a matter of personal preference. Sometimes people want to be out of their environment, you know, so without distraction. Sometimes that's a better way to get going with people. Sometimes once we've had one or two meetings, we can do something via Zoom or Skype, because that's even more convenient than if you've got a very busy mum or somebody who's got lots of time constraints. We can do a Skype one.
That's the beauty of this.
Very flexible.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this, isn't it? How you can kind of connect. I know it's not quite face to face, but it's still that reality. It's nice, isn't it? You can sort of see that person's real, which I like. So do you think from the kind of group stuff you tend to pick up one-to-one work? Does that happen for you, Marianna?
Sometimes. I have had one-to-one work from the group staff if somebody wants to discuss something in more detail. But equally, you get something very different from a group. You know, and obviously we know from discussions on your Facebook page that having a group situation, sitting there with like-minded ladies, quite often there'll be answers, there'll be ideas, and it's fantastic to watch people share and support each other in that environment. And for some people, that's all they need, or that's what they need. And it's just an easier environment for them. Somebody who wants to discuss something that's very much more individual and personalized needs a sort of one-to-one, really.
I think so too. But I agree, the group stuff, it's like that energy, isn't it? Sometimes you can just really feel it. It's fabulous.
Absolutely.
And just having different opinions.
I don't know about you, but I'm always really I feel quite privileged actually that people are prepared to share the kind of stuff they share in a group. I mean, obviously we make sure it's a safe environment for everyone.
Yeah.
And nobody needs to share stuff they don't want to. But it's amazing the sort of stuff that does get shared, and that, you know, there is no judgment in the room whatsoever. You know, people just take it all in and sort of say, right, well, this is the thing to do. This is
But I think you know, you create that environment as well with how you'll set that group up and you'll set that event up. So you're responsible for a lot of that. So testament to you that people feel they can open up. That's a good coach, isn't it?
Well, I'd like to think so. Thank you for saying that. That's nice, and I would like to think that, yes, that's how it works. But you know, it maybe takes a little bit of time to build that trust. Although I have to say that maybe I just select good clients. I don't know. They just come in and they get an awful lot from those monthly sessions.
Oh, I can imagine they would. I do keep saying I will try and get to one of your sessions, because I really actually would love to come just to experience it. So one of these days I will actually pitch up and you'll see me.
I'll send you a little message, let you know when the next one
is.
is.
Do, because I keep saying, and this year I've made a promise that I'm actually going to do more of the kind of getting myself out, because I think last year I was so focused on the business I didn't really go out and see people like I should have done, you know.
I think I would like to see you out and about a bit more, actually. You know, that because you come across so well, and you're so personable on screen, and you're so warm, and people, you know, can talk to you so easily. So I would say get out there, because Facebook has its uses, and Facebook groups are fine, especially when you've got a wide spread of people all over the place. But you can't beat a good one-to-one. No. This is nearly as good as meeting you face to face. That's true. It is. Because we can't give each other a hug or anything like that. You can't put your hand on their arm occasionally. That sort of stuff. But do get out there.
Yeah. No, I will definitely.
Yeah. So people are waiting.
What's next for Marianna? What's 2018 looking like? Are you doing anything new and exciting? And
well, I'm going to test the water with this. Let's see how a Mojo maintenance goes. For a weekday, and I know there are 5 days to choose from, and probably 6 hours where, you know, it might or might not suit people. But I've decided that this year I'm just going to be more decisive. Actually, you know, this is when I'm going to be able to run it. This is what I can do, and please come and join me at this time. Because if you put it out, you'll probably know this yourself. What's the best time of day for you? You'll get as many different answers as there are people out there. And so sometimes you just have to sort of say, do you know what? I can do this. So let's see who else can do this as well. So that's one thing I've got. The other thing is, I think I've neglected my own learning a little bit. So I've got, bless my family, I have a stack of books like this that I am absolutely raring to go and longing to sort of get stuck into, just so that I can share. Because quite often when you read all that stuff, you think, oh, I knew this, but it was buried down at the bottom of my brain bucket somewhere, and now I need to get this out there. So I always find sort of reading other people's stuff is inspiring, and going to other people's workshops as well. It's inspiring because it kind of clicks something, and then you think, oh yeah, I can definitely use that, or element of that. I've also got I've got a couple of irons in the fire, which I've got something I'm doing on Thursday, which we'll see what that comes to, but that's all to do with offering coaching services within a business package, which is quite exciting. So I'll keep you posted on how that goes. So this is just a small launch at the moment, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, it sounds really exciting, and it just I think it's always about just having the next thing that you might try. And also I think for you've kind of hit the nail on the head, actually. I resonate with what you said. Just that kind of saying, look, it's going to be on Wednesday from 12 till 4 or whatever. And actually the people who are right for it, and the people who do want to join you, will find time and make time to join on that day, I think.
Yeah.
I do, honestly. Because you'll never please everyone, will you? That's
No.
one of the things in life. We do know,
No.
for sure.
I've tried that before, and
Yeah,
it doesn't
I
work.
know. And the learning side, I'm terrible, Marianna, for reading. I really am. I love the feel of books. I love the thought of having a pile of books. I love buying books, but I never sit down and take time to read them. So I've got Audible, which means I can listen to books.
Right.
And it's been a revelation for me, because it means I can keep sort of either drive somewhere, or I can sleep in bed, lie in bed and listen, or walk, and I can listen to and learn from my books. And it's a personal thing, but I know I won't sit and read books, but I can certainly listen to them. And the amount of things you learn, and the amount of little bits of golden nuggets you get from other people's stuff, and it's not about pinching it. It's actually about sharing it. That's how I look at it.
Well, that's why they've written the book in the first place, isn't it?
Exactly,
to share it.
Exactly. And why reinvent the wheel if it's kind of already there for you?
Totally.
So I love all the things you've got on and got coming up. That's just amazing. Now, do you specialize in something particular? So, like, if I was to sort of think about, I need a coach, is there something that you kind of specialize in that you would I could come to you particularly for?
Well, I suppose one of the things that I concentrate most on for people, whatever issue they come to me with, is building their resilience, because we all want to be fabulous in whatever it is we do. And I don't know if you work in a corporate environment, or whether you're a teacher, or whether you're just somebody, whether you're somebody who goes and gives demonstration, whatever it is you do, that when you open that door and step out there to do your job, you can be fabulous. And then afterwards, when you shut the door, you might fall to bits. I don't know. But we spent a lot of time looking at how to be fabulous in our jobs, but I kind of like to get behind that, and to have a good look at the foundations, if you like. So this comes from my teaching thing. We were forever being inspected by Ofsted, or we'd have people coming into our classrooms to observe us as teachers and do appraisals and all that sort of thing. And I was thinking, well, that's all very well and good, but where is the kind of the corporate responsibility here? You sort of saying, yes, this is a grade 1 or a grade 2 teacher, but what's that person doing when they're not being a teacher? How is their home life going? How is all the other bits that make them who they are? How are all those bits being looked after? I'm not saying an employer should have to do that. Actually, you have the responsibility to do that. So whether you're a self-employed business owner, or wherever it is you work, you have a responsibility to yourself to make sure that all that underpinning stuff is the best it can be before you go and offer your services to whoever and wherever. So resilience building can take an awful lot of forms. I mean, it can be mental, it can be physical, it can be to do with sleeping, eating, exercising, it can be to do with going out and having a life sometimes, and not just working all the time.
That's me, Marianna.
So I do kind of make sure that part of it is sorted, and people take time to think about what it is they need, or why is it that they went into work that day and were just snapping at everybody that walked past them. What is that all about? So that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I just think it's something we don't always focus on, something we don't always think about, isn't it? Because again, we look at that, what's happening out there, but actually what's really going on underneath. It's all that's same thing that we've talked about. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Really fascinating. So how do people find out about you, Marianna? If I want, now I've watched this virtual Cuppa, I think you're fabulous. Now, how do I get in touch with you?
Okay, I have a website, which is www.chocolateboxcoaching.co.uk.
Love that.
Because I am a
that
chocoholic,
yeah,
and
me too.
that's kind of why. And it's a shameless steal from Forrest Gump, because you don't know what you're going to get from the chocolate box with your clients. So best way, go online, have a look at my website. There are a variety of things you can do there. You can contact me. There's a little contact page there. You could sign up for to get one of my Monday motivators, which is a little short little email that I send out every couple of weeks, just with some tips and hints of things to do during the week. A little bit like you, Jules, sometimes I put up a little 7-day challenge. I said, try one of these each day, see what happens, see what difference it makes. All kinds of stuff like that. And sometimes it's just my ramblings. I had a rant about this nonsense, this absolute garbage that is Blue Monday.
Yes.
This is just a media thing. I read something from a solicitor's blog the other day, who said that the media have made up a day that they call Divorce Day, because they say that people in January are more likely to go to family solicitors to get divorced, and it actually isn't true at all. It's something the media have just made up. And look how many people jump on the bandwagon. I don't know about you, but my inbox was full of stuff saying, beat the January, the Blue Monday, we're going to give you a special deal. It's just all, I'm not going to say that word, but it is all nonsense, horse feathers.
It is. And I posted because I was the same in a way. I was like, everybody's saying it's Blue Monday, but that's our choice. That's up to us what day it is,
Yeah.
And so I did the same in my group. So but it was everywhere. And what a lot of people did is they jumped on the back of actually using it as a promotion, which I thought was, I didn't want to be in that gang.
No.
What I wanted to do was turn it around and go, we ain't doing Blue Monday.
No, you choose the colour you want for your day.
Exactly.
You choose it.
Yeah.
And then make it happen.
Yeah. So look, I'll make sure that when I tidy up the virtual cuppa and the video side of it, that I put all of your details anyway, so people will be able to link through to your website. There's one last thing, is if you wanted to ask me anything, and you don't have to, but if there's a burning question you wanted to ask me, then go for it.
A burning question. Okay. What would be your top tip for when you meet somebody and you think, this person is sending me signals and is using language that suggests to me that they might be a client or a prospective client? What is the best thing you could say to them without seeming too pushy, or without feeling too pushy? Because I think that's something I personally struggle with.
Yeah, a lot of people.
But yet to give them the push that they might need to actually say yes, or take the next step with you.
Yeah. And would you be meeting this person maybe at networking, for instance, Marianna?
Probably, most likely.
For me, it's a bit like what we did. I would just completely take them out for a virtual cuppa or for a face-to-face cuppa, because the last thing you need to do at the minute you meet them is try and sell, which that makes you feel pushy. They feel a little bit like, well, I don't really know you yet. So it's all about building a relationship, really, as you know. So the next step, if you really think there's some signals, or even if you just think there's a connection, then I actually would just say, do you fancy meeting for a coffee sometime? Which is a bit like what you did to me. But I would just always go that route. And if it wasn't a face-to-face coffee, something like this, because that's the time you can just relax, you can ask questions, you can get to know them, and then you can really find out if there's signals for them wanting to actually go further and work with you. And then we could talk about other things you can do in that 30 minutes or hour to then get it on to the next stage, because I'm always happy to chat through those things, Marianna, if you want to. But first and foremost, I just think, let's get it away from here. Great to meet you, but let's now go on and have another cup of tea on another day, and then we can get to know each other even better. I think it's worthwhile, because actually if they're not a client, they might know someone who is. So I
Of
think
course.
there's always that extra opportunity, isn't there? So it's
Yeah.
just about connecting, as you said earlier. So
It is. Yeah, it is.
did that help?
That helps loads. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of what I knew, but maybe
But sometimes you just need to talk it through, don't you?
you
And
do.
think, oh, well, actually, is there something that I could do that I've missed?
Yeah.
And of course, there's loads of things you could do, but then potentially it's too soon. And actually, you might feel like you're being a bit pushy, and they might feel like that too. So, yeah.
Good.
I've really
Okay.
enjoyed our cuppa. It's been amazing.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry my dogs have been a bit noisy. I think this time of day they suddenly wake up and start playing.
I didn't actually hear them. I hope you didn't hear my printer either, because I know I said I'd switched it off before, but it suddenly came back to life and started chuntering away in the background, and I was thinking, please be quiet now.
I didn't actually hear it, so that's all good. I'm sure it's because the thing is, we're interesting when we're talking, so people probably won't even notice some of the background noises. So
This is true.
Don't worry about that too much. But I've loved our cuppa. Really loved it, Marianna. I've been very lucky to have met you face to face as well, which is brilliant. But anyone watching, I think, have a virtual cuppa with Marianna is kind of what I would say.
I would really love that. I mean, I'm not necessarily interested in sort of, all I want really is to connect with people. I am fascinated by people, clients. You don't have to be a client, but just let's have a chat. I find sometimes the Facebook thing, once you get into a conversation or you have to go off and do something, and then you come back to Facebook and there are a million other comments down there that you haven't seen yet, and so sometimes I find that a little bit overwhelming. I do prefer the face-to-face stuff. I always have done, actually.
I like face-to-face too, to be honest. So I know exactly what you mean when you say that. But thank you for your time. And I will get all of this loaded up, and it'll be in the group in the next couple of weeks. So
super.
Fantastic. And everyone can see all about Marianna. So thanks for your time. Have a fabulous day. And thank you. Thanks for having a virtual.
See you again.
Yeah, and you, darling.
Bye.